We profiled successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out. Business Talk. In 1 hour 30 minutes, we provide listeners with up-to-date economists, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. Join Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live this and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain valuable insights into the world of business as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out.
Don't miss out. We are always here to do what we call to do, and doing it to the best of our ability is what we opt for every time we seize the opportunity. We sincerely apologize for coming up of the private sector in Liberia's growth and development and prosperity. So shortly, I will be joined by Mr. Alva Tupa and Mr. Alkina Al Phillips. Both will be joining me from the US. I guess Alva is still here in Liberia, so they will be joining me shortly on the program as we continue last week's topic, talking about the role of the private sector in Liberia's growth and development and prosperity. So Alva Tupa ability. So you'll be there. We sincerely apologize for coming a bit late, like I said, due to hitches we had along the way, poor internet connectivity, but it's gonna get better as we go along the way. This is your program, our program, the program Business Radio. Let's get this brief out to be right back. Don't go away.
Business Talk. In 1 hour 30 minutes, we provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We engage in insightful discussions with local and international business leaders, economists, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. Join Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live this and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out.
Troubles remembering the plenty calls to dial and activate your favorite bundle on Lone Star Cell MTN? Well, don't you worry anymore because 352 hash. Whether that data bundle, Momo bundle, MTN Prestige, international calling bundles, just anything, dial star 352 hash. That is call for everything. At Lone Star Cell MTN, we put your satisfaction first.
MTN. MTN mobile money now to again for the first time in Liberia. First time in Liberia, you can send money from your phone straight to Africa, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Uganda, Rwanda, Mali, and Senegal. No more stressing on how you will send your children's school fees to Rwanda or your market money to Guinea or even order your goods from Ghana. Momo is now across borders, so just dial *156 *1#, select international.
Hash and select international transfer to cross borders with Momo.
MTN.
My people, see my choice. Since I put in for a car to this other car rental service, they are yet to come, and I am getting late. I don't know what to do.
Don't worry, my sister. Have you heard about UCAR Rental Service?
No.
UCAR Rental Service is the best in town, and they are located on 10th Street in Cinco, right in the technology building. Very affordable with a very low price. Go there now or call them on 0888 111 222.
Thank you, my brother. I'm calling them right now. Hello, is this UCAR rental service?
Yes, ma'am. How can we help you?
I need a car to take me to work.
Okay. Where are you?
I'm on Broad Street.
Okay, we're coming right now.
Thank you.
You need a ride? Don't worry. UCAR Rental Service is the best in town with affordable price just for you. UCAR Rental Service can be contacted Rental Service, the best deal in town.
It's the dawn of a new day in broadcasting.
And I have got news for you, radio and television stations owners and managers. Expert Communications Consultant is here to solve your equipment installation and purchasing needs. At Expert Communication Consultant, we are the premier source for professional radio and television installation. Contact us today for the following services. We build, install, and do servicing on studios of all kinds. We do repairs on radio and television equipment. We do order radio and television equipment as well as spare parts from Italy. The biggest news is we have state-of-the-art solar broadcasting system that uses solar power. So look no further for your communication perfection. Expert Communication Consultant, your premier source for professional radio and television installation. We are located on 10th Street in Cinco, Monrovia, right in the technology building. We can be contacted on 231-886-462632 or 231-770-462632 or email us at owusup33@yahoo.com. Expert Communication Consultant, your premier source for professional radio and television installation. Look no further than experience for all with a 20% discount on all of our services. We are open every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And let's not forget about the food. At Woki Farms, we pride ourselves on our farm-to-table dining experience. Enjoy delicious meals made from fresh, locally and internationally sourced ingredients. There's no time to waste. Explore our farm where you can get up close and personal with friendly animals. A place with breathtaking views. You will leave your worries behind. From cozy cabins to elegant shallow rooms. Woki Farms, where memory
Why wait? Plan your vacation or outing with Woki Farms in Carisbrooke along the Kakata Highway and experience the beauty of nature. Indulge in luxury and create memories for lifetime. For reservation, call us on 0881 248401. From sunrise to sunset, every moment is grand at Woki Farms because we are the ultimate wonderland.
German people, since our Brahma goose in the country, brother, and how can I make this work?
Look no further. Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live. Your partner in success is here to support the business community.
Tell me something.
Oh yes, reach thousands of potential customers with our dynamic advertising solution.
Is there more I need to know?
From captivating jingles to attention-grabbing spots, our team will make your brand shine.
Wow.
Unlock new opportunities, boost sales, and expand your reach with Love FM 105.1. Join us now and be part of the success story. Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live. With us, your business matters. Terms and conditions apply. For advertising inquiries, contact us today. Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live on the following numbers: 0887 106 105, 0776 5536.
Troubles remembering the plenty codes to dial and activate your favorite bundle on Lone Star Cell MTN? Well, don't you worry anymore because Lone Star Cell MTN has one code for everything. Yes, any bundle you want to subscribe to on Lone Star Cell MTN, just dial *352#. Whether that data bundle, Momo bundle, MTN Prestige, international calling bundles, just anything, dial *352#. That is code for everything. At Lone Star Cell MTN, we put your satisfaction first.
MTN.
Oh, don't say I don't tell you. Will you see Mama to pay for everything now? And your transportation for motorbike, taxi, bus, keke, and rental car, pay with Mama. Oh, that yes, pay with Mama. Even in the market you want pay for better ball, you better pay with Mama. Oh, you want pay for 32-inch weed, but pay with Mama. Let's see, pay for anything and everything with MTN Momo Pay. It's simple, fast, and secure, plus no extra charge. Yeah!
Dial *156*3# or download the MTN Momo app to pay for anything anywhere in Liberia. It's simple, fast, and secure. No charges and no holla holla.
MTN.
And after that commercial commitment, we are back, and of course we have Mr. Alpha Phillips in the building. We will be shortly joined by Mr. Alva Tuba. He's going to be here as well. Together, we're going to have the discussion. Last week, we started on a discussion that was so fruitful, that brought in a lot of attention, and we're going to continue today's topic. Last week topic. Soon as it is better, we have Mr. Alkina Al Phillips. Hey, Mr. Phillips, how you doing?
Good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon from my side, and it's good morning for us over here. It's about 8:30 in the morning. You know, with the time change, everybody is trying to reacclimate themselves, readjust to the time difference. So we've gone back 1 hour. So in the summertime, this would have been 9:30. Now in the wintertime, it's 8:30. So, but it's a great day. It's a bright and sunny day outside. It's bright. I mean, but in Houston, it's cool. It's not cold like the East Coast or up in Minnesota. It's a cool morning, light jacket, but it's bright and sunny outside. So we're all excited for the weekend, and it's just been a lot of good things this week. On the domestic side, on this side here, the incoming administration is selecting all of the new secretaries, or while we would on the Liberia side, we would say ministers of the Trump administration. So he is selecting and picking all of his cabinet secretaries. He's forming his government right now, and it's a reflection of what his policies would be to move this country forward, to grow the economy, create jobs, a foreign policy, monetary policy, trade policy. All of those things are taking shape based on the people he's appointing to these positions. So everybody's watching in anticipation of what's going to happen. And, for us who are in the energy sector, the oil and gas sector, we're all excited because who he's selected as as the energy secretary, the CEO of Liberty Energy. So we're excited about what potentials and good things, what potentially great things will come for the energy sector in different shale production areas across the U.S. So it's Ava is saying that he can't hear us on his side there, Rufus. Ava, can you hear us? Yeah, so we're all excited. The energy secretary has been selected, and it's we're all excited about who he is and what he will bring to the industry. And we're anticipating great new things from the Trump administration in the energy sector. So we wait and see, and with anticipation. But again, foreign policy is something that everybody's watching at, especially as it relates to Africa and also Liberia. Foreign aid and all of those things, projects, investments, foreign U.S. direct investments into West Africa, into ECOWAS, the Monterey River Union, Liberia specifically, what those things will be. But like we say on the business talk show, we Liberians have to play a greater role in our economy moving forward. So the next 4 years, 6 years for us should be something that we need to focus on and see how we can energize that and drive that and move it forward. Ava, how is your trip going?
Hey, greetings, everybody. Hope all is well. Yeah, the trip is going wonderful. Hold on, let me just take a minute. I'll be right back.
Rufus, how is your side? How is your side going?
Wonderful by the special grace of God. It's wonderful by the special grace of God. We just can't complain. All we need to do is to tell him thank you. That we are faced with, we need to say thanks, because what a good or bad, he said we should give him thanks. But it's all good. Gradually, nationally, we are getting there. And by the hope and aspiration that we all have to see Liberia
What we will be talking about today, we'll be continuing our discussion from last week, the private sector, the role of the private sector in Liberia's growth, development, and economic progress, job creation, what the private sector needs to do, what the private sector needs to be, what it needs to look like, how it's going to grow. And we really need more participation today. We really need Liberians from all around. Those who are watching on social media, please share the broadcast, share the link. Let's get more participation. We really, hi Aliyah Kamara, Lasana Gall, and Koto Brown, Isaac Serto. Thank you for joining the show. Please share the live and let people join in. You know, we're going to expand on the private sector to a great extent, because the whole idea, what we talked about last week, was that we want the private sector to play a major part, a larger part in the Liberian economy, and we want, you know, smaller government, bigger private sector, driving, pushing, creating opportunities. We want more diaspora participation. We want more Liberians in the diaspora, whether, you know, ECOWAS region, across Africa. Liberians who have gone abroad on the African continent, Europe, the US, Canada, Central South America, Asia. Those who can come in to invest in our private sector, not only in Monrovia, but in all different counties across this country. That's where we need the growth. We need the growth in those sectors, in those counties, so that the small, medium-sized Liberian businesses can play a major role in county development and then national development as a whole. We talked about the importance of what you see behind me here, electricity. The LEC is going to have to play, is going to have to be the driver. The new management team coming in, LEC as a whole, integrated with Transco, the Mount Coffee Dam, the cross-border grids in Ganta, the cross-border grids in Zwedru into Town, cross-border grid in Plebo. What is the electricity going to play, and the new management team going to play as the economic drivers, as Ava always talked about? What are going to be the economic drivers over the next couple of years, you know, the next 3, 6, 9, 10, 12 years? What are going to be the drivers in the private sector, the diaspora, you know, expat foreign investments, energy, you see behind me here? All of those things have to be drivers for so that economic transformation, infrastructure development, job creation, all need to take place in Liberia as a whole. What role are we in the diaspora going to play? How are we going to affect county development funds money? You know, where is it going to be spent on infrastructure, expanding the electrical grid, and all of those things we want to talk about. Ava, since you're on the Liberia side, what do you see? What are you hearing? How do you see, you know, things, the private sector, first year of the new administration? Give us a report from on the ground. Hi, Jusu Hassan from Magibi. Yeah, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? I mean, I know you're laughing, but I mean,
yeah. Hello, everybody. You know, I'll be honest here. The ground is hard. You know, people are feeling it and people are complaining. But the reality is, they were complaining 9-10 months ago, and it's not, things don't turn around instantly. It takes work. And the thing is, most people in the country don't know the level of devastation the last 6 years caused us from an institutional and organizational perspective. I mean, it's easy to say nothing was done, but really, nothing was done. Most of the institutions, you cannot find financial report. You cannot find data to even, you know, support any kind of decision making. So it's like real work has to take place to establish some foundational elements and understand where the institutions are before they can even decide how they move forward. At this point, if I have my way, every ministry and agency and commission we have to do a strategic plan, a business plan, for them to see the way forward, for them to understand, you know, are we adhering to our objectives? Do we have the fundamental things in place for us to, you know, execute our mandate? Do we have the capacity to do that? What are the needs here for us to move forward? And it's not easy. It's very challenging. But I just hope those key institutions that can, you know, build the groundwork will do something like that and really understand that it's not business as usual. They shouldn't just come in and start from where these, you know, folks left off and do what they want to do. So, in engaging some of the technical areas and people, it seems like they want to do some of the right things, you know. They're willing to look at reforms and stuff. A lot of times the first thing response is, oh, we don't have money. But there are some people who are engaging, actively pursuing how they can get resources to be able to implement the mandate. And that's a positive for some people in this government, you know. And just to come back to what we're trying to focus on in terms of, you know, business, liberalization, us owning, you know, our business environment, or at least being an active part. Now, you know, a lot of people are pushing for Liberian ownership, Liberian equity in all these foreign investments, right? But there's some foundational things that we as a country have to do, you know, whether it's establishing the rule of law, whether it's making sure, you know, for example, a contract is a contract, you know, because some of these companies don't want an unstable environment. We have to stabilize our environment. We've got to let the international investors know that coming to invest in Liberia is an attractive proposition. It's something we support. We try to incentivize you, but we also have Liberians who are interested in these sectors and these industries, and we've got to put some kind of equity requirement for Liberians to participate, you know, in what the country is trying to do and where we're trying to go. So, you know, it was exciting for me. The other day I met, you know, people from the Ministry of Commerce. Some of the things they're doing kind of align with the way, you know, I've been thinking, and we can, you know, get a little deeper into it. But just the environment, like, you know, it shows something different, right? Whether sometimes somebody agree with you or whether they will, you know, follow along with your suggestions or implement it, you know, sometimes that doesn't matter. It's the approach, them receiving you in a positive way and willing to listen to you. And I think that's one of the biggest difference in this government. There is no hostility towards ideas per se. They may not agree with you, they may not do it, but they are open on short notice to engage, to talk to you, to meet with you. And I must give them a plus. You know, like I tell people sometimes, the government I brought to power, you know, basically ostracized many of us from even suggesting or participating or being able to hand them something. You know, this government is different. These people are willing to listen. So hopefully listening comes with them incorporating some of the ideas that may work for them and being able to, you know, do what's necessary for the country in terms of the kind of programs they will implement. But we can talk a little bit more. You know, I talk more in depth with the Deputy Minister for Small Business at Commerce, Mr. Benedict Dolo. And, you know, I came away impressed with some of the initiatives that they are exploring and how they want to, you know, push the small business area. And, you know, similarly, I had shorter conversations with the Deputy Minister of Administration, Deputy Minister for Trade, Deputy Minister for Industry. And I came away, you know, with a positive feeling. So, you know, and that is really the hot blood of the country in terms of, you know, pushing commerce, pushing industry, pushing trade. So, you know, we can discuss this further, but the private sector has a huge role to play, no doubt. And we've got to push liberalization. We've got to encourage entrepreneurship and start it early with people, let the mindset start to build towards, you know, business, big business, being a participant in the economy. And the business community also probably trying to galvanize, get together and demand more from government, right? Sometimes you got to advocate. Doesn't have to be demonstration or pushing or somebody, hostility, but it's about making a cogent argument and advocating for the things that you want.
On the U.S. side, we'll call it lobbying. We'll call it lobbying. Yeah. No, but look, you bring up a very, very important point. I think one of the challenges that we as a people, we as a nation that make up this government, we constantly have, from administration to administration, we don't understand the role of the private sector. One, we don't understand the role of nationalism, if I will put it that way. So you talked about all of these foreign companies coming in to exploit our natural resources. Very good thing, positive thing. I'm not opposed to that. But what we need to do on the front end is to have a fundamental plan, right? A strategic plan as to how and what role the small, medium, and large, Liberian businesses must play as service providers to these multinationals, these bigger companies that come in to exploit natural resources. There has to be a strategy there. There must be something written in stone, that a pamphlet, a booklet, some rules, some law. Liberianization is not only those set aside sectors, but again, we must force these multinationals, because take for instance, in the case of Mittal, HPX that's coming in, right? So what role is the energy sector going to play? This big thing behind it. What role is LEC going to play? One. What role are the small Liberian contractors, electrical contractors, going to play in helping to build a great rollout, the great connect homes, connect meters in those areas where HPX is going to operate? One. The next thing is, the building of the rail. Granted, Liberia don't have the ability to build a rail, but okay, all of the small subcontracts that would come as a result of building that rail, building and putting in machines, equipment, and everything else. What role are small Liberian electrical, civil, plumbing, all the different trades, that exist within that industrial construction sector? Liberians have, there are many Liberian engineering firms, okay, designing, civil construction, you name it. What role are those firms going to play in getting those subcontracts? And because that's where the bulk of the money is actually spent. The bulk of the money is actually spent in the subcontracting sector. So those who are sitting at the table, is that document being passed? Is it being put on the table in front of that, foreign direct investor who's coming in? That, look, Liberians must be a player in all of the subcontractors, in the subcontractor that you're handing out. Number three, you're there. We've been seeing, reading, hearing about all of these reports where the current labor minister, kudos to him. I believe it's Minister Craw, correct me if I'm wrong, who's been canceling all of these work permits for Mittal Steel and these people. Why are these companies bringing in crane operators? Are you kidding me? Seriously. So all of these things need to be addressed on the front end. They must be addressed on the front end, not on the back end. They must be addressed on the front end so that as this process starts to move down the line, down the road, right, Liberian companies must be plugged in. And I go back to that database you guys are trying to put together. That database needs to be something that plays a role in that, because that way small Liberian companies locally and abroad need to be brought to the table. There must be a database. I go back to what you've always been preaching, teaching, and educating everybody about. There must be a database that the National Investment Commission or the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Labor, whatever it is, need to be plugged into, that give these foreign direct investors, say, hey, here's a database. You must pull from this database. First option must be the database. Second option must be, if you can't find it in the database, Then you make the recommendation and you make the request to us that you search the database and you can't find it there. And I think if that is set in place, then there's no way you can say you can't find a Liberian who's an electrical engineer and blah, blah, blah. You can't find a Liberian person who's a mechanical engineer, because we're graduating them from the University of Liberia. We're graduating them from Stella Maris. We're graduating them from Tubman University, so forth and so on. So there are no reasons, only excuses. And we cannot, as a people, as a government, accept these excuses, because, let me just elaborate on one more thing, because, keep in mind, every expat employee, very important on this point, every expat employee a company brings into Liberia, you know what an expat employee is going to do? It's called capital flight. He's going to export all his earnings. In fact, most of his money will not even be paid in Liberia. It will not even be paid in Liberia. He will receive a salary, bank draft, or bank, direct deposit overseas. And then a small portion would be his allowance, will be spent, the chump change, the peanuts will be spent locally. So we need to understand it, that there has to be a greater understanding about this. Every expat employee that a foreign company is allowed to take a job in Liberia and sidestep a trained, educated, experienced Liberian, we're going to experience capital flight. And the more capital that is exported from our country, the less our economic growth and expansion will happen. That's just something we need to understand. And that's why the National Investment Commission, your database idea of all of these tradesmen, we've got to create this. The Ministry of Labor needs to lead on this issue. The Ministry of Commerce needs to lead on the small, medium-sized, large Liberian businesses database to create this and set this in front of these expat companies that come in and say, look, you must choose from this database. You must choose from these listings for employees, because all the trade people are already, established in the database. Last but not least, that database should be connected to all the university graduates. Why are the graduate? Why is the U of H? UL graduating agronomists, engineers, chemical engineers, lawyers, and they're not being placed in a database so that these companies can have access to the database to pull these people. That should be the first place they must look. They can't be bringing, a mechanical engineer from abroad to pay him $60,000 and then get a machinist in Liberia, paying him, $500 per month. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Anybody who's a mechanical engineer graduate from Liberia can be trained to move to a higher level because he has the foundation, he has the fundamentals. Okay. Go ahead, Abba.
Yeah, I mean, the points you make are definitely what needs to be done. But you see, today in Liberia, I don't know how many Liberians own, gold mines or iron ore mine or oil block or, a bank, like large rubber farms comparable to a Firestone or, largest cocoa farm, largest coffee farm, even these apartment complexes you see are the real big ones. So we need Liberian ownership in that area. We got to find a way to do it. And besides us wanting and talking about it, government has to also set some policies that enable us, even when the big investors come, they got to require that they have some Liberian partnership. And then even when government is doing its own actions, government has a law that 25% of all government expenses should be local, but expended to Liberian businesses. But is that implemented? I don't think so. So we really need to monitor government expenditure in the spend plan. All these corporations that are using government, all these ministries, agencies, commissions, etc., public corporations, they got to show what the set aside portion is and how they expect Liberian business to access, those things. What kind of partnership level is the granting of big contract where those people can participate with Liberian businesses, and Liberian business must have a certain percentage of that. It needs to be formalized and clearly articulated consistently that we know coming in, if this company here does not have it, they're not supposed to be involved, you know, in this particular contract if they don't have that Liberian partnership. Ghana does it, other countries would do it, other countries do it. So there's no reason why we cannot formalize an opportunity for, like you say, avoid capital flight, let money stay here, know our professionals, know our businesses. And that's where, again, data comes in. Where anybody out of ministry, somebody come and say, oh, well, these are the 10 engineers we have here. These are the 10 fertilizer companies we have here. These are the 10 companies that engage in cocoa or coffee, you know, production. So, you know, gradually they have to push it. They have to make that a part of their activity. And we just hope, you know, talking to some of the people at the Ministry of Commerce, that's what they really want to do. And the prospect of agriculture is huge. Talking to the Minister of Technical Services at the Ministry of Agriculture is really huge. So, you know, there are like real huge efforts. Look, I mean, how much meat do we even eat in our own, I mean, produce in our own country that we eat? But we got range land in the Southeast where we can really raise livestock. And there's money out there for livestock. You know, there's money out there for fish. We got to go after those things. So it's about the ministry finding people who can help them do some of these big time proposals to get it out there to these people who have the opportunity to lend us money or, you know, give us grants for all these activities. So as we go through this process and keep trying to enlighten our fellow Liberians, it's just important that we wake up, you know, to the implementation. Like we have somebody at Mark Davis, we are good at making policies, but enforcing those policies has been a major challenge for us. That's a fact. That's a fact. Whether it's compromised by the companies that are coming, there's another noise in the background.
Yeah, go ahead, Abba.
Okay. So yeah. So, you know, so the effort has to be there. It has to be transparent. We got to make it clear. You come here, you got to partner with Liberian. You spend it for government ministry, you got to set aside what you're going to give to that government, to the private sector people, Liberian companies. And then the big issue, before you come, the big issue is fronting, you know, and that's what the Deputy Minister of Small Business told me. You know, we got a Liberian acquisition policy where we got 16 sectors where nobody, no foreign person can do. But block making, Jokafle selling, and some other areas, we have Lebanese and Indian people with their business and have Liberians fronting. So they got to now find out how do we determine the businesses that are fronting. You know, and he talked about bank accounts and, you know, like signature level and stuff like that. So they can definitely go into these businesses that are in these sectors for only Liberians and determine if they're fronting or not, and then be able to turn it over to Liberians. So it takes, like my friend George Family always say, for government to work, government must work. And that's where, you know, it comes in. It can't be a few people working. It got to be a whole government effort. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, the couple of points you made there, right? Like I always say, there must be a fundamental understanding of the role these different things play, okay? And the effect that they have on the national economy, the growth of the country, you know, and how we can industrialize the country. You and I were talking about it the other day. I was talking to Tualu as well. One of the challenges we have, I keep saying this, we don't have the fundamental understanding. We see all of the parts of the puzzle, right? All of the parts of the puzzle, they're all there on the floor or up on the wall. But we don't understand how each part of the puzzle interacts with the next part of the puzzle. So that's why we do things in abstract. We do things in abstract.
Vacuum.
We've got exactly. So, you know, on the U.S. side, you know it. You know, you know it's called your project. Your PM, your project manager specialist. It's called silos. Every silo, you know, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. So the right hand is there working feverishly on something else in that siloed, isolated, you know, condition or situation with no external input or output to another corresponding sector. And that's how everything works. Everything works in a siloed, isolated way, so that when there's a change or an effect on something, it doesn't affect the other one. But they think that it doesn't affect the other one. Okay, I'll prove it to you. You mentioned the rubber sector, right? The rubber sector. You mentioned the rubber sector. And for me, I was born and raised in Firestone. The rubber industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. It's a billion-dollar industry worldwide. Harvey Firestone set his eyes on Liberia from its inception, came in, leased the land, blah, blah, blah. We were born, we were raised there. My father went to school on a Firestone scholarship, graduated from Cottonton. Came back to work in Firestone, had us there. And we went to Firestone Staff School. But look at Firestone. It's a country by itself. It has its own hydropower dam, engineering department, water department, you name it, they have everything. They're self-contained. But that whole industry, they built their rubber processing plant, had the trucks for transport to the Port of Monrovia, had their own area in the port to export their black rubber, technically specified the TSR rubber, and their latex. And they have their customers already set aside globally on the US side. So as I tell people, every tree you see in Firestone, the latex and the rubber from that tree, it's already sold. It's already sold. Firestone has a commitment just to keep that flow going. Okay, so now when you look at the Liberian Rubber Growers Association, the cumulative total, and this is why many people don't understand, the cumulative total of all the small rubber growers, medium-sized rubber growers, large rubber growers who are Liberians, the cumulative total of all of their farms is greater than the land mass of the Firestone plantation. But how is it that the people who have the largest land mass of rubber turn around to sell to the guy who has the smallest area? And where is what's the role of the commercial banking sector in Liberia to actively and proactively engage the Rubber Growers Association of Liberia to what? To invest in a rubber processing line, so that more wealth can be created within the Liberian sector, within the agricultural sector. Mark Davis, I know somebody here is asking the role of LBDI. Why LBDI cannot play an active role? What is the challenge of the Liberian Rubber Growers Association that they cannot come together, leverage their production with one of the banks and get a rubber processing line and put it and strategically deploy it at a place connected to the power grid, so that the rubber growers can bring their rubber to that place, process it and export it and create wealth and more jobs locally. Because most of these rubber growers, the only job they provide are just tappers and cleaners under the rubber trees. That's not a value add. There's no value addition. There's no value addition. The only people who do value addition in Liberia, correct me if I'm wrong, is Firestone, number 1, LAC, number 2, and then you got Jetty, number 3, and maybe the cocoa pot up in Ganta. So there's no wealth being created in the rubber sector in Liberia, considering how much rubber we export. There's no wealth being created for Liberians. There's none. That's the reason why you don't see any growth and prosperity in the rubber sector. If I'm wrong, let somebody call the show and let somebody put a comment on it. There's no growth. There's no wealth being created in the sector because everybody brings their rubber either to Jetty or bring their rubber to Firestone and to sell it. And and then that's it. And then those companies have their customers global. And the same thing in the cocoa sector. That's going to happen. There's no value addition locally. So you look at the big companies coming in until, we look at Tubman University. We're graduating engineers. Qualified, trained engineers from Tubman University every year. There's not a database you can go to see all the names of all the engineers graduated, the engineers, the agronomists, civil. You can't find such a database in the Republic of Liberia, the graduate from this year, last year, the year before. So as a result of that, you go to the meeting with the minister and the company. The company will say, okay, well, give me the list, give me the database. He said, well, we're going to have to get back to you in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Why? Because there's no planning. There's no organizing. There's no understanding that this needs to be done so that you can eliminate that excuse from the conversation, because that's what the expat company is going to do. They're going to put you on the spot and say, okay, give me the list. And if you can't come back with an answer, say, well, until while you're working on the list, my work can't be idle. I have to bring in this expat guy to do it while you're producing the list. So that's why, on your point, I agree. I buy into it. I support it 100%. We've got to create this national database of all of the graduates, whether it's LOIC, BWI, MVTC. These are, as you know, in the US, we call them blue collar workers. They must be in this database because they make up that major foundation of tradesmen in a developing country. And that's when these investors come in, they need tradesmen. They need electricians. They need electronic technicians. They need civil technicians. They need masoners. They need HVAC technicians. They need IT guys, because those are the big jobs, that's the big quantity of jobs to get these investments up and running. And if we don't have Liberians playing a role in those areas, every expat person that gets a job is equal to capital flight. Where is the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning on this? Because again, that will reflect in their success. Okay, where's the Minister of Mines and Energy on this? Because that will also affect their industrialization numbers as well. So I think we Liberians have to be very, very engaging on this. George Family said that data must be kept by the Ministry of Education. We have to stop asking the private sector to do government work. Well, George, I agree, and then I have to say I disagree. As you know, you're on the U.S. side as well. And you know how sometimes the U.S. government has to farm out. They have to give certain, service contracts to private sector companies to do, because government can, as big and as wealthy as the U.S. government is.
But they're what he's saying, they need to do that.
Exactly. No, I'm not saying no. I'm about to say I agree and then I disagree. So again, the minister himself or herself need to be brought, elevated, lifted to that level of understanding that this database is important. That database is important because it ties in. It ties into commerce. It ties into to the Ministry of Commerce.
Every ministry can use an integrated database of Liberian professionals and business people. All of them.
Yes. Where is the? I think that there's another group called COPEL. I think it's called the Liberian Association of Small and Petty Traders, something like that. Where's their database? You can't have an isolated.
They probably have it on a spreadsheet, but it's not accessible publicly.
It's not accessible. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's limited. So everybody needs to to be lifted, to be elevated, to be pushed up to this level of understanding that these databases are important. That's why the Ghanaians are the Ghanaians are leveraging all of these things and forcing private sector investors. You come off the plane, you put it in the meeting. Hey, Ghana first. Ghana first.
Okay, let me address this thing. Everything comes down to money. Look, Lasana, we are able to sharpen our pen and be able to look at these different budgets for these different institutions and get money to put technology at the top and make some things happen. And some of these things are not too expensive, but the commitment that we are going this direction. Let me give you an example. Simple email. Emails as a government employee is institutional information. It's not your private information. It's your email, but you operating as a government employee, you doing government work, is the government's information. I bet if we do a survey of all government institutions, probably 65%, if not more, of the people who have emails and conducting government business through email will have their personal Google or Yahoo email and doing that. And sometimes, even when they do have a ministry email, they will conduct government business on a personal email.
And that's fundamentally wrong. That's wrong. That's
totally
exactly right. It's wrong.
If we have a tech czar, the first rule of business will be everybody must use government email countrywide. If you're going to do government business on email, you got to use government email. That's one way to quote, because there's a big gap when somebody leaves. What's the continuity? If they die,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
We need to think about that.
Well, I mean, people understand this, but again, like you said, there's no leadership on the issue. Somebody needs to lead on something. Okay, as you know,
right, we need our tech czar in the president's office.
That's
We've been pushing for that for the longest time. It doesn't have to be any of us. Find somebody. There's
nobody's looking for a job here.
Technology czar for the country.
For the country, because that plays a very important role. It plays a very important role because, like you used the right word, continuity. Continuity. When that person leaves, where's all of the previous email? Like, I mean, the company, you know, you work for different companies. The day you leave, your email is blocked. The day you step out the door, you have your exit interview. From the day you pack your things from your cubicle, you have your exit interview. IT takes over your email, and all your email gets directed to your supervisor or your boss. That's it. And then he would then selectively, move the email and say, okay, John, you take over all of Ivan's work. But there's no continuity. The telephone.
And sometimes some people are fired instantly. Take all your things and leave this department right now.
That's it, right now. The security escorts you out the door. You eat the first thing that is blocked. In fact,
so folks, the private sector is important. And go ahead. You want to finish?
No. Yeah. Again, I 100% support you. Technology czar that can oversee the ICT infrastructure, ICT policies, email policies, and all of those things for the strategic purpose of continuity of government's business. And some of these emails, they're very private emails, and sometimes that's where you find corruption. I mean, it starts off with an email or a text message or a WhatsApp. It starts off with that, the telephone number. If government issue, why should somebody come into office with their own private number? Why is that? Why should and then when that person leaves, the person takes their number and continues doing business with some foreign company who doesn't even know the person has been fired. So, again, a technology czar that, and again, that person would not be appointed by the leadership of our country until there's a general understanding or fundamental understanding of how important that role, is. So that's why it needs to be created. I keep going back to this word, understanding, because that's where our gap is, Ava. Our gap is in that lack of understanding. And without that understanding, then the right decisions cannot be made because the person doesn't need to see the value in making that decision. So, on that issue, the national database of professionals, small Liberian businesses, I think, again, if you do it as a private sector thing, then how do you get government to buy into it? That becomes the question.
Maybe government because there's opportunity to monetize it. Government can adopt it and say, look, this is the official vehicle or engine we're using, medium we're using to collect information on professionals and businesses. Mm-hmm. Go there and register there. Or, they can look at everything at PPNCC, but then not every business registers at PPNCC because not every business is doing government contracting. So we need a holistic database with all of that stuff.
Where I think that you know where I think it needs to start from? The Liberian Business Registry. The Liberian Business Registry. That's the perfect place because the Liberian Business Registry. The Liberian Business Registry issues you your LRA tax ID. So they should be able to go in, push a couple of buttons and find an Excel spreadsheet of all of the Liberian businesses with all their LRA tax ID numbers. So, we can conclude and say, okay, a large number of Liberian businesses registered are already there. And those who are not registered, you want to do business with any private investor that comes into the country. Make sure
maybe we should engage the head, Patience Randall, and try to get her on here and see, because we're at that point now where we can start bringing on government officials.
Yeah.
I know the folks at Commerce are willing to come and share some stuff, especially the deputy for small businesses. He's willing to come on and share some of his initiative. I will share some today towards the end of the show about what he's doing and what he says they want to do, which is decent. But the stuff you said about the the business registry, we need that. Now George is saying they don't have code. I don't know that. Maybe we can get some of these people on here to ask them. Sometimes, what is the limitation? How can people in the private sector participate with government, support government, to be able to do some of these things that can make it more effective and efficient for them to do their work? So those are the kind of things sometimes, we need to look at. And then, like we're talking again, George gave an example. Yeah, the whole communication budget around the government, it needs to be centralized for this small government. Not everybody got to be running their own communications. There was a communication czar that could centralize some of these things, whether from scratch card all the way up to everything in communication. It can make a difference in some of that money. What is it? We don't have money to do X, Y, Z. That money can go there. So they're just areas that we can really cut down expenses. Whether it's fuel, whether it's car repair, whether it's how they purchase car, whether it's the communication. There's just multiple areas that if we sharpen our pencil, we can be able to make changes to them. That money can be diverted into other infrastructure and operational activities that can enhance governance. So we just have to keep talking about it. I think we're not in a position to act. We can just keep talking.
Well, again, at the end of the day, Ava, okay, you and I, George, and those who are in the U.S., the various, conservative or liberal or right-leaning, left-leaning podcasts, they're lobbyists. We are lobbyists. We are the ones who drive the issues. We're the one who educate, we enlighten, and at the end of the day, what we talk about here, what we discuss here, you don't know who are the listeners, and it would probably bring some light into their level of understanding, and it will help them to make a better decision. I mean, look at Tucker Carlson. Tucker is a major influencer today. Okay, so let us not, count ourselves out. Let's say, that the more we talk about these issues, highlight these issues, bring these things to the forefront, people who are listening will say, you know what, I never thought about that. Man, these guys make a lot of sense, and I mean, the issue is not to shame anyone. The point here is to enlighten, is to educate. And if
that's one of the sensitive things. People are sensitive. They think every suggestion, every, offering is something to embarrass them. Is not, or to take their job. No, it's not. I mean, with stuff we're just talking, look at what this guy, Adam McGann, just suggested. Telecommunication is best place to start with a data center that houses all government electronic communications. I will stop there for now, even though he suggests that alternative somebody could build a data center. But from what I hear, the data center at Lib Telco can easily facilitate all of that. There should be a service center that if we had an IT czar who was driving policy, every government agency, all of you who building your data center, we taking it from your that government money, we're moving it towards Lib Telco to enhance whatever Lib Telco got. Everybody will use a data center at Lib Telco. We'll co-locate all your information there. We can have the backup in the cloud somewhere or wherever, because in case of redundancy or just things, break down, we need our backup that can come up immediately. So we may need some of it with some other company, right? But Lib Telco has to be the front end, the government service agent. And it's not happening now. You see what George said? The data center at Lib Telco is only at 20% capacity. It's only being used at 20% capacity. So that means there's a whole bunch of space for everything else that we want to do as government. So it's just important. Yes, somebody can build their own data center and be able to subcontract to government or to other agencies. That's fine, But the key is government should not be cannibalizing itself with everybody building data center, all of those kinds of things. We need to shift away from that and be able to centralize some activities and let government benefit from that kind of synergy that exists when you utilize these services as they're supposed to be used, whether it's the national data center, whether it's the at Liptelco, whether it's a national identification registry. There's just so many other service centers that exist, whether it's lists for all GIS data, all economic data and everything like that. And that data then is hosted at Liptelco. So there's just so many ways that we can move this process, but the people in authority have to understand that that's what needs to be done and be able to collaborate again, like somebody suggests, maybe with the private sector who can do it, especially the Liberian private sector, to be able to effect all of these policies. It's about implementation. It's about being able to monitor effectively.
And okay, so let's go to several different layers of the topic you just brought up on this data center. What Adamant just brought up on the data center, the point that Adamant brought up about the IT, the ITs, where you brought it up about the technologies are in government. Then Adamant added to that the telecommunication, that is the best place to do this. And then George, added on to that about the data center, right? So what the Ghanaians have done is, again, you look at all of these things and you say, well, we need these things done. Government needs it, but the private sector is faster in implementing it. You get my point, okay? So if the data center is there and hiring more government employees to run it will be adding to the what? To the cost of running government. Then what you do, you form a private and public sector partnership. You get my point. Because the data center is there. The technology czar comes in, he comes with an understanding, okay, and starts setting in the policies. Do all of the connectivity that needs to be done to all the different ministries. And then again, we talk about the databases, start tying in all of these different things. And at the end of the day, where private sector can execute, not lead, but government leads and the private sector execute that which government wants done, because they can do it faster, they can do it more efficiently, they can do it easier, and then we identify those Liberian companies that can do it and put Liberia first. You get my point, like you say, Liberia first. Go with the Liberia first policy and an idea, where that which government needs to get done, then government identifies it, right?
Oh.
Writes out his plan, and then find Liberian-owned companies, private companies in the IT technology sector, whatever it is, to then carry it out and execute it, and then work in partnership to maybe manage it or keep it effectively running. So there's a role. There's a very we see it all across here. We see it all across the U.S. Even right here in our state, in Texas, there's a private company that does all the processing online for all the what we call DPS, Department of Public Safety. It's not DPS. DPS gets a piece of the payment, but there's a private sector company that takes care of all of the processing online, all the payments for DPS. There you go. So why can't we implement that process? Why do people have to go and stand online and do this, that, and the other? Why can't you go and take care of your license plate at the gas stations or whatever the case is, where those infrastructures everywhere? The Connex gas stations are everywhere. Why can't we build a backbone to connect those places, right? From the private sector side, and then the private sector can build a web portal for government for a fee, and then manage it, and then help in the services that needs to be done, rendered to the population by government. And this is the way the Ghanaians have done it, by putting Ghanaians first to implement those things that the government of Ghana needs. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel here. We have the Liberian companies. We have the Liberian expertise. We've, over the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we've got more Liberian engineers, scientists, you name it. We have the human resource capital, both domestically in Liberia and abroad. So there's no reason why we should be looking outside of that database. You get my point? To bring in quote unquote foreign.
Yeah, but it's one thing to have it, and it's one thing to get that capital formation process going, right? Because in the little bits and pieces, we have money all over the place. We have that being able to, kind of centralize, or some kind of Liberian fund that can go for big projects that are Liberian owned, so we just got to start building it. Yes, Dwalu, and myself have talked about the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund, and we're making efforts towards that direction. But it should be something that more Liberians want to do, that I can believe that if we bring our considerable amount of capital together, we can start to own our economy, we can start to do so many big things that other corporations are doing. So it's a mindset change that we have to approach this thing with, that Liberians can do business in Liberia, do big business and be very successful. And we just hope that more Liberians can start thinking like that, more Liberians can start talking about it, and more Liberians can start pushing the concept that access to capital resides partially in the diaspora. We can get that money. We can go to, okay, this construction is going to boom. A lot of people are building. There's a need. Most of the infrastructure we have in this country is either decrepit, old, dilapidated, or just not fit to carry what it's doing. So Liberians can get into both the materials development or production, as well as the actual construction process as well. I mean, we had some serious firms before, some serious Liberian engineering firms, and we still got a few around. To assess what portion of these big contracts for construction are Liberian businesses getting. So yes, we can find a way to build that private capital among Liberians into a sizable pot. That, for example, the Mount River Union is doing stuff, right? They're trying to build like a border office or something there between Sierra Leone and Liberia. They're asking for 500,000 bond. How will a regular Liberian company get 500,000 bond? So those are things that we need to think about. We need to see how the entire ecosystem of being able to successfully get contracts is supported as Liberians. So those are thought processes that, people at commerce, people at, Ministry of Finance, who have a National Investment Commission, who have interest in Liberian businesses, should be thinking about how we can also empower Liberians to get some of these regional and even continental activities that go on. Most of them we are left out. I was excited to hear from the Deputy Minister of Trade that Liberia had officially ratified its signature to the Continental Africa Free Trade Area, which is very important. You can say you agree with the law, but when you don't become a signatory to the law, it doesn't work for you. So I was excited to hear Deputy Minister of Trade Wilmer Reeves, say that. And there's some other positive things, because we can find, just one product. If we say the whole Africa needs sugarcane, and we really say we'll be the premier provider of sugarcane for Africa, we can be that, because we have the land here, we have the climate. Yes, we need to do some stuff with the soil. Yes, we need some mechanization to take us to that commercial level, but we are capable of doing it. But it takes concerted effort, it takes work, it takes government, facilitating some of the things, and it can happen. So, we just have to be optimistic. We got to keep pushing, keep talking about it like we are doing now, and hopefully some people can get to work and do some of this stuff.
How about you just brought up the construction sector. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the Liberianization side. This thing behind me here, that's why I always lead with electricity. Do you know what growth is going to be in the building material sector as a result of this? As this issue, this energy, electricity issue is being addressed, formulated and move into more stability to be the key driver, the key economic driver of this economy that will power up all the different sectors. You just talked about building, construction, engineering firms. Do you have, I think, again, I always lead on this one word, understanding. The level of understanding that Liberians need to have to wrap their minds around what growth this thing is going to stimulate, is going to create within every county. As energy, as the power line, the power grids expand, you just mentioned it. You walk across, I mean, look at Doison. Doison used to be just a dark place. Look at it today. I mean, there's building on both sides of the road for as far as the eye can see. There's building material, there's wire, there's circuit breakers, and you need electrical technician, wiremen, and everything to move to connect those houses to the grid. So where are we Liberians abroad, Liberians locally, domestically, and Liberians, in the diaspora, if I can put it that way? What role are we playing in the building material sector? Because if we relinquish that sector to expats, to those who are coming as traders, okay, just to import from Asia, import from China, and then sell and meet the needs. Because again, whether Liberians understand it, whether they know it, whether they have an appreciation of it, once the market has a need, and you domestic, citizens of that country cannot meet that need, trust me, that need will be met by the consumers by any means necessary. If it means somebody from overseas come and open up a store and bring in building material, people who want to build their houses will go there, they will buy it, they will get it, and they will do it. So I think we Liberians, we need to understand this. The building construction sector and those trades that are tied to the building construction, because you talk about, you were just talking about the continent-wide Free Trade Act, right? Free Trade Agreement. We look at the cocoa, we look at the rubber, we look at the, agro-food, the processing, whatever it is. It starts with what? It starts with a building. After you put up the building, you need electricity. After you get the electricity in the building, you need the machine to be plugged into that grid. Then you need IT services and everything else. So where are we Liberians in understanding that process so that we will be able to plug into that? Because the private sector budget is huge. It's huge. Whether whether there's full, Mark Davis, that's your area of expertise. Logistics. Just the logistics aspect and the integrated IT infrastructure that needs to keep logistics running. Because you need data, you need information, and everything else that goes along with it. So we're trying to get into the big league, to be industrialized as a nation, but there's a gap between where we want to go and where we want to be, and the understanding that's required that is required of us to have, so that we can be effective, efficient, and proficient in achieving this level of industrialization. And this is where we're challenged. We're challenged because we don't have the level of understanding on this, so that we can lead, and make sure that our private sector companies, can truly be, can truly play a role in every aspect of our development. This is where we're challenged. I firmly believe it. This is where we Liberians are challenged. That there's not a general, there is a general lack of understanding. If I'm wrong, let somebody tell me I'm wrong on that. But I think that's where we're challenged. And that's why we're doing things in a fragmented way, where there's no clear plan and there's no clear strategy on how we intend to achieve this plan. There are no KPIs set in place. You started off the show by saying that you went from, you visited different ministries and you saw different things. And, if it was you would say, look, shut this thing down. I want every minister and your team to put together a clear strategy as to what, a clear plan on what you intend to do, year 1, year 2, year 3. And I want that plan to lead every year, to lead to escalation, to increase, to growth in the following year. And I want it broken up every 3 months, quarterly.
Yes, because when you do,
so
yeah,
again,
when you do that kind of planning, let's say you do your 5-year strategic plan, within that plan, you got your
Go on.
You got your year-to-year activity, right?
Yeah.
Within that year-to-year, what you just said, quarterly activities as well. So you come from the lowest denominator and move up to be able to achieve that. You got specific initiative to achieve certain things, and you got key performance indicators that determine how you are doing each of those initiatives, that you can keep your own scorecard or your own dashboard that can let you know at any point in time, where am I with regards to my overall strategic plan? Where am I with regards to what I wanted to accomplish in year 1, year 2, year 3? So, those are just the things that we have to start looking at, demanding performance in business, in government, making sure the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and we know what we're doing is shared among the people, and they have bought into it. Because, if you have a vision at the top and it doesn't, sifter down to the rest of the people, and you can't sensitize them to what you're trying to achieve collectively, it's difficult for you to move forward. So it's just very important that we really start thinking that way, and we really start pushing performance as a metric in all different ways. How are you performing with water? How are you performing with electricity? How are you performing with, and that's the big performance, right? But under that, you got specific areas, whether it's different aspects of water, whether it's different aspects of electricity, or whether it's different aspects of labor. Everybody got to be under a performance mandate. And we did see the whole performance management thing from government. We don't know how it's being implemented. We don't know how we hold people accountable yet, but hopefully we'll know some of those things soon, because it's important. You see, when things are public and transparent, it increases the level of accountability, and people themselves who are under that mandate tend to perform better because they know people are looking at them. They know it depends on if they're thinking about another job. The next job is a factor. They're thinking on more money. That is a factor. So different things motivate different people, but definitely performance management is important for everybody in Liberia. Rufus, you just joining us. What's up?
He's been dealing with his internet issues back there. He's been fighting.
Yeah, technical issues behind.
He's been playing. As they say in the US, he's not an IT specialist, but he plays one on TV. So he's been playing IT specialist in the background, trying to solve the internet issues. So good job, Rufus. No, but I did an interview on the issue of the new LEC management team coming in on Wednesday of this week, right? So one of the things I talked about, which you just brought up also, is the performance-based compensation plans. This idea of giving someone a job as a minister, deputy minister, assistant minister. Because when you think about it, right, if you look, let's just pick one ministry, for example. Pick one, okay? Be it, my favorite, LEC, Public Corporation. From the MD to the DMDs and all of the other folks there, that's a team. That is a team that has what? Clear KPIs, should have clear KPIs and deliverables. Quarterly, their 5-year, like you rightly said, their 5-year goal. And then you take that 5-year goal, you break it into what? Into yearly goals. And then you break the yearly goal into quarterly goals. And then the team led by the MD should be what? Should be held accountable. Now, saying that they're held accountable is one thing, but then tying their compensation, right? Tying their compensation to their performance within itself is a motivator. Because if you meet 25% of your goals, your target, your KPIs, then you're only entitled to 20% of your compensation. Why should you pay the man 100% of his salary when he's performed extremely bad? And then his poor performance is affecting the overall economic growth of the country. Why would you reward someone for that in such a critical sector as energy? Why should you reward a team that is not performing, meeting their KPIs, meeting their deliverables, meeting their their clearly stated, goals and mile markers with 100% salary every month for the next 12 months, and they've performed badly. And their bad performance is a drag on the economy and investment confidence and other ministry performance as well, because bad electricity affects all of the ministries. It affects every sector of the economy. Why would you pay someone 100% of their salary for 12 months? So again, performance-based compensation plans for people in ministry is a key motivator so that people will know that if we perform badly as a team, then we as a team will not be properly compensated. That has it. I mean, again, until you can break out of that, then we're not going to have any. So the question now becomes, what becomes the motivator to make the various ministers and deputy ministers or that team? I'm not picking on anyone, but I'm just saying, as a team, when the team win, when the Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans or the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl, everybody gets a ring. And when they lose the Super Bowl, nobody gets a ring. You get my point? So, performance-based compensation, like you rightly said, and a scorecard for the ministry as a team on their deliverables for their 5-year, their 6-year goals, and every year should be incremental, leading to the 5-year goal, and then the yearly goal should be broken up into quarterly, and then the quarterly into every month. And there should be a review. There must be a review. But to just pay people their $6,000, $10,000, whatever it is, every month, whether or not they perform or they don't perform, whether they achieve, whether they don't achieve, whether they produce or don't produce, I think it is not a motivator that would drive people towards excellence and performance. I think it's a bad way to reward mediocrity. All you're doing is you're just rewarding people for not even putting forth the effort. You can push the wall with all your might the entire day. That wall is not going to move. You just wasted the entire day. So, I mean, I think on that point, I think we Liberians really, really need to actively engage this process, and we, from Business Talk, put the numbers up there, Abba. So let's take some calls. We can take some calls today, and let's get some engagement in, because I think the conversation today is fruitful.
Okay, let's take some calls.
Or anything else you want to lead in with.
Rufus, you got the numbers, or I should try to.
You can post it.
This.
So you're on the Liberia side. You can't take U.S. calls. You're on the Liberia side.
Yeah, let me put this.
So for those of you, let me just say this. So for those of you who are on the U.S. side, if you want to participate when Rufus puts the WhatsApp numbers up, I strongly suggest, advise, and recommend take that WhatsApp number, put it into your phone, save it quickly, and then you can call on WhatsApp and jump and join the show. Okay, so whether you're in the U.S. or wherever, you're not left out of the conversation. So take down the numbers 231-887-105-105 or 231-7. Yeah, just keep it up there like that, Rufa. Don't let it scroll. Let it just stay up there so people can see it. So if you're on the U.S. side, please take those two numbers down, save it in your phone, and just save it in your phone as put the number back up, Rufus. Let it be up there static, like the way you had it before, so that people can see it. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And so save the number in your phone. Just call it Love TV or whatever, Business Talk. And then you can call the number on WhatsApp, and you'll get Rufus in the studio. He will bring you on the phone. Yeah. So I really do believe.
But he can add our WhatsApp numbers there onto that banner. He can edit it and add our numbers as well, and people can have it.
Yeah, you can add
Rufus, you can do that, right?
Yeah, Rufus. Yeah, if you want to call me directly, you can call me directly as well on the U.S. side. Just call me on 1-346-217-3664, and I will put you on the air right away. Okay, that's 346 for Houston, Texas, 217-3664 if you're on the U.S. side. You can call that number, and I'll put you on the air. Yeah, go ahead, Alva. You were saying something before we take calls.
Well, I'm going to try to share some of the small business information, but since we're going to the calls, let's do the calls and then, come back with some of that in closing. But I can go right to it now if you want it, What do you think? Are you on mute?
What do you think about, before you go to that, what do you think about this performance-based compensation plan for the ministerial team?
That has to be a part.
What do you think about it, Rufus? What do you think about it, Rufus? Performance-based compensation. Don't just pay people 100% of their money without any performance, without any deliverables, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. Go ahead, Alva.
Well, no, I'm saying, yes, performance can be incentivized, right? Especially people at revenue generating, agencies or, yes, go ahead, put the call through.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, this is Alpha Boo.
Okay, Mr. Boo, let's hear you.
Thank you so much. I love TV and much especially to Mr. Akana Phillips for the educative show. The show is really helping us, much especially for really small business people. And I just called in to say thank you. Every Saturday we are learning new ideas. So I want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Folks, information, first you start with data, then you get information, then you transfer it to knowledge. All of those things really help to build people up. You become more powerful. You become more empowered when you can get information and you know how to use it. So it's important, these kind of conversations. And we just wish other people could join, other people, especially if they're looking at different disciplines and different opportunities. I'll give a quick example. I met 3 young ladies outside my door this morning. They had their Togafle pen. And that's another one I talk about, child labor, right? But that's a separate thing in this whole private sector and business environment. But they had their pens there and they were tired. One was sitting down, one had a lapa spread, laying down, the other one sitting under the tree, resting, because it's not easy. The sun right now, climate change is for real. It's hotter than usual, and it has rained a couple of times, and it's similar in Ghana and other places in West Africa. So we got to expect some fluctuation in how our climate will be operating. But these young ladies, so I engaged them in conversation, asked them what they were doing, whether they were in school, because a lot of kids are not in school because they got to sell for the family and support the family. But these kids were in school. They were like 14, 13, 18, and they were like fifth, and then the 18-year-old, she's a little not grade appropriate, but she's in the 7th grade. But one of them wanted to be a pilot, and the other 2 want to be doctor, right? So what is the enabling environment for us to be able to let these young ladies realize their dreams and vision, if that's what they want to be? I told them, I will reach out to people, right? I will reach out to the people at Liberia Aviation Authority, Liberia Civil Aviation Authority, and ask them, do they have some youth program or just awareness about the profession? Because even in our schools, we don't teach anything about aviation, So that area is just a black hole. I knew when we were younger, 1 or 2 of our friends were pilots. They were learning to be pilots, but probably it's because of a family connection or somebody. No, it's not like it was something that we were exposed to as a career. So doing those are important. The two that wanted to be doctor, one of them say her sister also, her older sister want to be a doctor. So, that's why she wants to be a doctor. But it just shows that our young people have dreams, right? But how can we help them fulfill those dreams? How can we help push them, to go into these different disciplines or to be entrepreneurs and other stuff like that? What kind of mock things are we doing, or what kind of, little youth professional engagement and stuff? It just got to be something. So we, on the private sector side, too, have to be creative about how we can start to change the mindset of Liberians that everything is not government job. Every major should not be public administration or, political science or something like that. We need people in the sciences. We need people in the technical areas, because that's where we develop Liberia more so. Even though the political decisions do control everything, we see that joke around where the president who was the dullest person in the class was the one that became the politician, right? But yeah, he's leading the doctors, he's leading everybody. Yes, let's have a next caller. Let's have a next caller.
Go on.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Brother Joshua from Junior. I'm calling from Kakata, Mahibi County, around the Green Island community.
Let's hear you.
Yes, I want to take this time to appreciate.
Okay, I think we have a little problem there.
Very helping my local business. I'm in the agro business. I'm into poultry farming, but on a small level. But with the help from the business talk, all the mentorship, all the weeks, months I have achieved, it is actually helping my business to grow. So we hope that this business talk will decentralize.
We are excited that this is benefiting somebody, even if it's one person, it's important. And he was talking about poultry, talking to the Minister of Technical Services at the Ministry of Agriculture. We have limited, poultry.
Importing chickens from Africa. Why are we importing chickens from other places? And we have the land, we have the idea. We just need to manufacture it on a large scale for it to help our people. What national government is doing about it. But again, I must appreciate, because I love the business so much and I believe that it is profitable. But I was not having such advanced knowledge when it comes to the administrative aspect. But with the business show, with the key I learned from Mr. Ekana Philip, it is really, really helping me. So I want to say thanks ever so much.
Wonderful. Is that Jusu? Was that his name?
Yes, that's Jusu.
So
yeah, wonderful, Jusu. Wonderful. I was telling I met with the Minister of Technical Affairs at the Ministry of Agriculture, and he was saying the same thing. He was telling me how he went to a conference, and the guy from Senegal was boasting about their poultry and their, livestock. So this is a huge opportunity. He said there's definitely some stuff out there that they want to be coming out with. So Jusu has to be one of those that, the ministry should engage or share his information with the ministry. Again, if we had that information on all the poultry farmers, being able to, decentralize agriculture sector by sector, stream by stream, a lot would be happening more positively. So, we just continue to keep talking, and more people will keep listening, and these things will happen.
And on this poultry issue, on this poultry topic, I don't want to use the word issue before people think it's a problem, but when you actually think about the numbers, right? If you think about the numbers, if you think about the numbers in terms of how much dollars okay, in poultry is imported into Liberia. Processed chicken, okay, chicken thighs, chicken leg, chicken feet, blah blah blah, is imported from.
George has a joke. He says, if somebody offer, like, go to a restaurant and buy 4 chicken thigh or 4 chicken wings, how many chicken is that? Ain't that 2 chickens? You got to have 2 chicken to get 4 wings, right?
To get 4 wings. So if you think in dollar cents, right, in sense of dollars, whether it's 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, 50, whatever dollar it is, imported in chickens, right, into Liberia, that tells you the dollar value of, you know, the dollar value for the chicken industry or the poultry industry in Liberia, because that's the imported amount. Yes. Okay, and I mean, so again, Jusu is doing it. So Jusu is telling us, and I think about this is what I was talking about earlier in the program about the abstractness of how we think from the policy perspective. Jusu is in Kakata. There's a place in Kakata that we call the Booker T. Washington Institute, the largest vocational training school in the whole country. So what role is BWI playing in the developmental, in developing the poultry sector in Liberia or in Margibi County as a whole? Let's not talk about the whole country. Let's just talk about Margibi, where Booker T. Washington Institute, the largest vocational training school in the country, sits. This is what I talk about being, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. This is the abstractness of how we do things. Here it is, these young people are coming together. I mean, so, we need, again, planning. Planning is so critical, it's so vital.
Very critical.
When we started off this show, we talked about planning. If there's no plan, then the only plan that's on the board is a plan to fail.
Yes.
A business without a plan is a business that has definitely planned to fail. A ministry without a plan is a ministry that has planned to fail. So there's got to be a strategic plan. And the next thing is we've got to think in terms of industries. We're gonna look, poultry is a whole industry by itself. I live in Texas. Some of the customers that I feed here in Texas, they're not just oil and gas customers, but it's the poultry industry. The poultry industry in Texas is huge. And you know what these companies like Sanderson Farms, Pilgrim, what they do, Purdue, you know what they do? They go to the landowners. Cut a deal to build the poultry, the entire thing on the land. And what we do, we bid and tender for all of the electrical hardware for these massive, chicken growing, facilities. And they're all controlled, climate control, power and everything. And then what they do, the guys show up every 3 or 4 or 5 months, whatever the case is, and pick up with tractor trailer trucks and take all the chickens away. And the guy who owns the land gets a piece of the, he gets a percentage of how many chickens are produced on his land for as long as that contract is in place. So again, like you mentioned, we've got the land. There are landowners in Liberia, people who had deeds to 3, 5, 6, 800 acres of land. What are you doing with the deeds? What are you doing to leverage it? Poultry is a massive industry, is a multi-million-dollar industry. And the confirmation of that in Liberia is the dollar amount that is imported into this country. Rufus is saying that we're out of time on the
Okay, so yeah, Rufus is saying we are out of time. Rufus,
but we can continue on Facebook.
I think we can remove the station, or you can drop off and we can continue on the Facebook end, but we just wanted to share some of this important information about what the small business department at the Ministry of Commerce is doing. They're supposed to be holding a conference of medium and small enterprises on December 9th to the 11th. I hope I will still be here. I think the agriculture folks had there, so they focusing more on non-agricultural businesses. But I was able to, sit with Deputy Minister Dolo, and he was able to share with me, the areas in his department in terms of what they're trying to do, the 4 key departments where they're trying to find access to finance, find access to markets, do capacity building and performance management, and then technology and innovation. And he outlined some different things they're doing with the disadvantaged population. He talked about the showcase they have there for only Liberian products. I was impressed with some of the packets he showed me. He talked about them doing a Liberian product store at the airport, and then Jobotown Market, where it was actually originally built to be a farmer's market. They can, consider converting it now to a farmer's market and be able to help facilitate farmers bring their products to town, right? Because that was the major thing, from farm to market. So, there's other one. He talked about ECOWAS platform for small and medium enterprises to sell. That's something I've talked about for the longest time, in terms of we can build in Liberia a trade platform that not only ECOWAS, but the entire continent can use, be able to have all the information of all the different products across the continent is doable. And I'm glad they think about it on the ECOWAS level, but we're going to expand it to the continental level. Then he shared with me done business plans, competition, and that's another area where, Jusu was just talking about the administrative side of his business. Most small businesses are not there, and we can help them get there. I'll talk to them too about being able to have that kind of support for those small businesses, right? A friend of mine is a QuickBooks expert, and she also, an expert, has expertise in, anything got to do administrating a business, right? Whether it's time tracking, whether it's payroll, whether it's benefits, Social Security, all of those things. We can build systems around it and help all these small businesses. So that's another thing that, I'm talking to her about. We will probably turn it into an opportunity that people can use. So he was sharing with me also that Liberia had taken a $40 million grant, and $6 million of that money was going to be administered by, I think, LIFIC, City Trust, and Afriland to provide, access to finance to, small and medium businesses. So we need to get more information about these kinds of grants and stuff like that, or even loans. He talked about the interest rates on loan, how it's so, kind of predatory, extortionary, 20%, and the time to pay is very short. So they're trying to find, different payment arrangements, maybe 3 years at 5%, 3 years at 7%, are more palatable to, the small business, that you're not dying to pay debt. You go get debt to get worse in debt. They don't want to do that. So there's some other things that they're trying to do in terms of access to the local market, where government has 25% set aside for any procurement in terms of, small businesses being a part. And government has to share that information. Your spend plan, you build your budget, how much you're going to spend on, those kind of services. At the beginning of the year, tell us, we have $200 million in our budget. 25% of that is to be for small Liberian business. That's $50 million you guys will be competing for. These are the key areas, blah, blah, blah. So it's about information. It's about sharing. So, we just hope government can step up. Something I've talked about a long time, a standards and testing lab that we can have, certified full USDA level that can just be exported, because we have not taken advantage of AGOA. The African Growth and Opportunity Act has been around for the longest time, but our agricultural sector has not grown on the back of that vehicle. So we need to see how we can do it. And he told me that UNIDO is trying to help them with the testing lab, which would be great. I also know, Ahamadou Salif is setting up a whole pineapple factory in Saniquile, and he's going to have a facility where he can package and bag other agricultural products. So some things are happening. It's just about, the acceleration of those things. And then we briefly talk about technology and innovation, where there's a huge gap. They need some things to happen. We just talked about them building that platform, but they also need to build a medium and small business enterprises database. They need to do the credit reference. They need to do the national switch in collaboration with the central bank. So there's a lot of lifting that needs to be done, in our country, and Liberian businesses should start to see how they can push to be a part of this thing, because sometimes, there's a push and pull thing, right? Sometimes the people are not ready to share some of that information. So we have to be aggressive and go after it as business people. And we also should start thinking now how we can sometimes get together that, a proposal where different people or different skills and competencies and kinds of companies are required. We can collaborate. Again, if that database were there, I know what Jusu doing, Jusu know what Akino doing. We're talking, we're having little communication. Oh, there's a contract, there's a bid out here. Let's collaborate, let's put in for the bid. So there's a lot of ways that we can start to work together. But again, Rufus, thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the audience that listen. I think this has been a very good show, and we'll continue to engage on these topics. Hopefully we can set a schedule of inviting our national leaders for them to come on this show and share their own expertise with the people. So Rufus, be ready to face that flyer to keep that space for any guest that's coming on, on the show. Okay. So thank you. And guys, I'm about to go find food to eat. I eat today. Akina? You're on mute.
Yeah. I'll end with this, right? Alva, thank you so much for engaging the Deputy Minister of Commerce for small business. One of the things I think that needs to be done, that can be done on the loan issue, is let government make an investment, be it $500,000, $500,000, $750,000, $1 million, whatever the case is. Partner up with a local bank that is, that has effective, decentralization, Southeast, whatever, whatnot, and then set the terms of the lending for that money. You get my point? Because you got to look at it from the banker's perspective. If the banker is going to take his own money and lend it, he will set the terms. If government sets the money aside, partners with, let's just say, City Trust, right? With City Trust, they already have their program. So, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to fund this thing. But again, because it's our money, these are the terms we're going to set on our money. You will make your money because you will be the entity that will administer this program. You get my point, okay? So our interest rate is going to be only 10%, and our payment term would be for small business that make, X amount of dollars over a year, okay? And these are the requirements to apply for the loan. Small businesses that are within petty businesses get this amount, small businesses get this amount, medium businesses get this amount. And then we set the terms of that agreement, of getting that loan. And then you use the bank that has the IT infrastructure and everything else. All the applications are online and everything else. And you do it through that format. And then proper reporting and everything can be done. But to use you cannot set the terms on the bank's money. No, you can set the terms on your own money. That's the way it works. If I'm wrong, let any banker correct me. You cannot set the terms on the banker's money. But if you take your $1 million, $500,000, put a partner up with the bank, put the money and say, these are the terms I want on this money. And I want to partner with you, since you already have a small business program, a small Liberian business program, lending program. Let's review the rules. Let's review the conditions. Since you already have all of that in place, let's work together and lend out my money, and you will make X% as the custodian. You get my point? You're managing the services for that. I think that would be the best way to go. But again, Rufus, thank you so much. I know we run over and we didn't get a lot of callers today, but thank you so much to all of the listeners and those who participated on Facebook and those who listen in, in the US, Adama, George, everybody else, Sam Ross, Jusu, all the folks who contributed comments to the show. Thank you so much once again. Business talk is what we love to do, to talk about the private sector of Liberia, see how we can grow our private sector and make the private sector be more active in our economic growth and our prosperity. Liberians, we need to fully engage. I support AVA 100% on this database because that database also will be important for the diaspora. You know, if I'm sitting here in Houston, Texas, and I want to invest in a business in Maryland County, that database will help me to find companies and small businesses in Maryland County. Maybe I want to invest $1,000 of a small business in Plebo or maybe in River G. That database can help me to find small Liberian businesses in River G, and I can call them, reach out to them, so forth and so on, engage with them because they're in the database. If I want to invest in a small business in Bapaloo County, that database will be helpful. So I really support this database issue, Ava. I think it's something that we really need to build on and expand on. And small Liberian businesses, once this database comes on and Ava then put this thing online, please go on there, register your business, put the information, your business registration. So that way, if I want to find a business in River G, I don't have to even call you. I can just go to the database, search River G, all the companies come up. I click on one, pull it up. I see your business registration is up to date. Your tax information is up to date. Your picture, the name of your company, your write-up about your business, your mobile number, your email address, what you've been doing, and I can reach out to you instantly. That's the importance of the database. So I think that is something that will be, you know, that can be done as well. Okay. So I'm excited. So thank you so much to everyone. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. And I will not be on the show next week. So Ava, if you want to bring somebody else on the show as a guest, reach out to Dwalu. My daughter, my first daughter, is having her wedding reception next week, which is Thanksgiving weekend. So I will be tied up at the father of the bride and doing my dance and doing everything else. And we've already did the wedding down in St. Thomas. So we're just doing a big reception here in Houston. So I would not be available to the show. But get Dwalu, he's a private sector man. That guy is so excited about it. But thank you so much to everyone.
Yeah. We'll get somebody. We'll get somebody for the show. Thank you. All right, Rufus. Thanks a lot. Later, guys. Audience.
Okay.
Audience. Bye-bye.
FM 105.1 every Saturday's talk, business talk in 1 hour 30 minutes. We provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We engage in insightful discussions. This and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain valuable insights into the world of business as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs.